Right now, as you are listening to this, there is an 18-year-old sitting in a coffee shop in, like, some rural middle of nowhere town. And they are outbidding a Madison Avenue advertising agency for a major client contract.
Which is just wild to think about.
It is entirely wild. And the truly crazy part is that they're doing it using a software subscription that costs, less than a cup of coffee.
Yeah, 20 or 30 bucks a month.
Exactly. Welcome to the silent revolution. Because usually when we talk about a major economic shift, there's this expectation of noise, right?
For sure. You think of, the Industrial Revolution with its massive roaring factories.
Right, or the frantic yelling on the floor of the stock exchange during a financial boom.
Yeah.
It's loud, it's visible.
Yeah.
But what we are unpacking today in this deep dive is it's shockingly quiet.
It's the absolute definition of a silent revolution. The infrastructure of wealth creation is fundamentally shifting right under our feet.
Yeah, and we are looking at a stack of sources today detailing individuals who are consistently generating $10,000, $20,000, or even more every single month. And they are doing it almost entirely by leveraging AI tools.
But because it's happening on servers, in browser tabs and through background automated workflows, you just don't hear the machinery.
You don't see it at all.
Right. And frankly, that silence is dangerous for people who aren't paying attention because the gap between those who understand this leverage and those who don't is widening exponentially every single day.
Okay, so let's unpack this. Our mission for this deep dive is to take this massive stack of materials we have in front of us, these articles, case studies, financial analyses of the modern creator economy, and really just filter out the static.
Because there is so much static out there right now.
So much. If you log online right now, whether you are a freelancer grinding out hours or a student or even an entrepreneur, you are just blasted with promises of instant AI wealth. It's totally overwhelming.
It is. Everyone is selling a get-rich-quick prompt.
Exactly. So today, we are going to dissect the specific mechanisms behind this income. We will explore the transition from basic freelance hustle to running high-leverage operations.
And we really need to lay out the critical step-by-step roadmap a beginner actually needs to navigate this space without falling into the traps.
Right, because we have to approach this with a heavy dose of realism.
We do. We need to clearly separate the genuine sustainable opportunities from the completely unsustainable hype.
Because there's a lot of hype.
So much hype. And as our sources point out repeatedly, there is a vast difference between building a leveraged, defensible business and just, riding a temporary wave of technological novelty. We really need to look at the structural mechanics of value creation.
But wait, before we get into the exact mechanics of how people are printing this kind of money, I feel like we really need to establish why this specific moment in history is allowing it to happen at all.
Yeah, the context is everything here.
Right. Because if the barrier to entry is just a laptop, why isn't every teenager with an internet connection a millionaire?
Well, looking through our sources, this explosion really rests on four main pillars converging at exactly the same time.
Okay, what are the four pillars?
You have extremely low startup costs, unprecedented automation capabilities, instant global reach, and the pre-existing infrastructure of the creator economy.
So all four hitting at once.
Exactly. If you remove any one of those pillars, the entire phenomenon collapses. It's a perfect storm. I mean, let's look at the history of startup costs just to contextualize how absurd the current environment is.
Please do, because I think we completely take this for granted now.
We absolutely do. If you wanted to start a business in the 1990s, you needed physical capital. You needed a storefront, inventory, physical marketing.
You were hundreds of thousands of dollars in debt before day one.
Exactly. Then the internet came along. But even in the early 2000s, to start a digital business, you still needed to buy physical servers.
Oh, right. Like the massive server racks.
Yes, you had to rack them, cool them, maintain them in a server room somewhere. Then, in the 2010s, cloud computing like AWS arrived, and suddenly you could just rent server space.
Which was a huge drop in cost.
It was a massive drop, but you still needed human capital. You needed developers, designers, copywriters, all to build the actual thing you were putting on those rented servers.
Right, so you were essentially trading physical overhead for human overhead. You still had to make payroll every 2 weeks.
Yes. And now we hit the current AI era. Your storefront is a digital platform, your inventory is generated data, and your overhead is like a $40 monthly subscription to a suite of AI tools.
That's insane.
The cost to spin up a fully functional enterprise-grade digital service has effectively dropped to zero.
Which brings us to the second pillar, which is leverage. And I know we've seen solopreneurs before, right? Like a graphic designer working from home isn't a new concept at all.
No, freelancers have been around forever.
But what these sources highlight isn't just working alone, it's the sheer scale of the output.
Yeah, what's fascinating here is the mechanics of that leverage. I mean, in physics, leverage is using a tool to multiply your applied force. You push down with 10 pounds of pressure, the lever lifts 100 pounds.
Right, basic mechanics.
Well, in economics, it's the exact same concept. Historically, if you wanted to double your business's output, you had to double your labor force. You just hired more people.
But automation breaks that.
It completely breaks that linear relationship. With the current suite of AI tools, a single individual can effectively possess the output capacity of a 5 or even 10-person team.
Okay, give me a tangible example of that multiplication. How does that actually look?
Think about a research workflow. Let's say a consultant is tasked with analyzing consumer sentiment across thousands of product reviews.
Okay, pretty standard task.
10 years ago, that consultant hires 3 junior analysts to spend a week reading reviews, tagging them in spreadsheets, and summarizing the data.
It's tedious work.
Very. But today, that same consultant builds an automated workflow. They pike the reviews into a large language model, instruct the model to categorize the sentiment, extract key pain points, and format the output into an executive summary.
Oh, wow.
So the task that took a team an entire week now takes an individual 20 minutes of setup and maybe 2 minutes of compute time. The human is no longer doing the manual labor. They are directing the intelligence.
It completely rewrites the economics of digital labor. And that naturally bleeds into the psychological impact of the third pillar, which is having instant global reach.
Which is a huge mental shift.
And I want to spend a minute here because the sources touch on the emotional reality of this for you, the listener. Imagine being that 22-year-old sitting in a small rural town.
Right.
Historically, your economic opportunity was strictly bound by your geography. You could only sell your skills to the local businesses in your zip code.
Your ceiling was defined entirely by your local economy.
Exactly. It's a profound psychological shift to suddenly realize you are unbound.
Because of that low barrier to entry and that high leverage, that 22-year-old can launch a digital product or a service and instantly compete for clients in Manhattan, in London, in Sydney from day one.
They have the exact same access to the tools as a senior executive at a massive conglomerate.
They do. The playing field is completely flattened in that regard.
But that has to be terrifying, right? I mean, exhilarating, yes, but also utterly paralyzing.
Oh, absolutely.
Because if you are no longer restricted by your zip code, it means your competition is no longer restricted by their zip code either. You aren't just competing with the person down the street. You are competing with everyone, everywhere, all at once.
Yeah, the global talent pool.
So if someone in another country with a way lower cost of living can use the exact same AI tools to produce the exact same output, how do you even survive?
That is the central tension of this entire deep dive, actually. And we are going to explore exactly how the successful players survive that later. But to answer your question about why it's happening right now, we have to look at the final pillar.
The infrastructure.
Right. They aren't starting from scratch when they try to reach Manhattan or Sydney.
Because Stripe, Shopify, YouTube, all these digital marketplaces, the plumbing was already there.
Precisely. The distribution channels have been maturing for the last 15 years.
Yeah.
You have platforms that process global payments instantly.
Yeah.
Platforms that serve high-definition video to billions of devices, and algorithms perfectly tuned to find audiences. What changed was the velocity of production.
Okay, so the pipes were built, but before AI, producing high-quality content or services to flow through those pipes was slow and expensive.
Exactly. AI suddenly allowed a single person to generate enough high-quality output to actually fill the pipes and reach that huge ocean of consumers.
Okay, so that establishes the foundation. We understand the why, the environment is perfectly primed, but now we really need to dissect the how. What are these people actually doing?
Well, our sources categorize this into 2 phases. The first is what they call the foundation methods, or the entry level. This is where people take traditional services and give them an AI upgrade. We are talking about AI-assisted copywriting, freelance design, and the one that really dominates the conversation right now, YouTube automation channels.
Yes, the sources refer to this phase as the time for money upgrade. And I think this is where the vast majority of people begin their journey in this space because it's the most familiar.
Yeah. You are still providing a service or creating a piece of media. You're just doing it a lot faster.
I really want to dig into the mechanics of this YouTube automation thing because the claims in our sources are just wild. We were talking about fully automated, potentially completely faceless channels.
Yes.
The creator never steps in front of a camera, no personality, no vlogging. So my big question is, how does a completely automated faceless video actually capture and hold a human audience's attention?
That is the million-dollar question.
Because human beings crave connection. How does a machine replicate that?
It's a critical question, and it requires us to break down how the YouTube algorithm actually functions. Because YouTube doesn't care if a video have a human face or an AI face.
It doesn't.
Not at all. The algorithm cares about two primary metrics: click-through rate, or CTR, and average view duration, or AVD.
So clicks and watch time.
Exactly. Does the thumbnail make you click, and does the video keep you watching? That's it. It's a ruthless metric of human psychology.
Okay, so how do these creators exploit that using AI? Because they can't just be pressing a magical button that says make a viral video.
No, they aren't. They are acting more as a digital general contractor.
Oh, interesting.
Think of building a house. A general contractor doesn't pour the concrete, frame the walls, and do the plumbing themselves. They hire specialized laborers, but the contractor is the one with the blueprint ensuring the house doesn't collapse.
Oh, I like that analogy. So the AI tools are the specialized laborers.
Exactly. The human creator identifies a niche, let's say historical deep-sea exploration mysteries. They know this niche has high search volume and a really dedicated audience.
Right.
First, they act as the architect. They use a large language model to generate a highly structured script. But they don't just say, write a video about the ocean.
They engineer the prompt.
Yes. They engineer the prompt to focus specifically on retention metrics. They instruct the AI to build a script with a very specific hook in the first 5 seconds, open loops that tease information for later in the video, and a pacing that naturally escalates tension.
But even with a great script, AI voices used to sound completely dead. If I hear that robotic, monotone TikTok voice on a 10-minute documentary, I'm clicking away immediately.
And that's where the technology has leaped forward so fast. The general contractor takes that script and feeds it into an advanced AI voice generator. We aren't talking about the robotic voices of 2020.
Well, they sound real now.
We're talking about tools like 11 Labs or similar software that map cadence, emotional inflection, and even natural breathing sounds.
Wait, breathing sounds.
Yes. The AI breathes to sound more human. The voice becomes indistinguishable from a professional voiceover artist. That's the drywaller coming in and smoothing out the walls.
Okay, so we have the script and the voice.
Yeah.
What about the visuals? A blank screen won't get that view duration.
Then they bring in the painter and the electrician. They use AI image generators to create compelling, hyper-realistic conceptual art for the thumbnail, which boosts that click-through rate we talked about.
Getting them in the door.
Then they use specialized AI video editors. These tools listen to the generated voiceover, analyze the keywords, and automatically pull relevant, high-quality stock footage, syncing it perfectly to the audio track. They automatically add subtitles, sound effects, and background music.
Okay, so let me put myself in their shoes and look at the actual timeline of this workflow.
Go for it.
If I'm running this channel, I wake up, I spend maybe 30 minutes engineering the prompt and iterating with the language model to get the script's pacing right. Then I spend another 30 minutes managing the voice generation and the automatic video editing tools. Then maybe an hour acting as the quality control. The general contractor walking the site, pressing a weird transition, or making sure the AI didn't hallucinate a historical fact.
Which it does.
Right. So I've just produced a highly engaging, well-researched 10-minute documentary-style video in 2 hours.
Exactly. Something that historically required a dedicated researcher, a script writer, a professional voice actor, and a video editor working for an entire week.
But wait, if the AI hallucinates a fact, or if the video editor pulls a clip of a World War II submarine when the script is talking about the Titanic,
Yeah.
the creator still has to manually go in and fix it, right?
Yes, and that right there highlights the fundamental limitation of this phase. This is time arbitrage.
Time arbitrage.
The creator is using AI to drastically speed up their workflow. They're producing more units of content or delivering more freelance projects in a fraction of the time, but the underlying business model hasn't actually evolved.
Because they still have to sit at the computer to oversee the production.
Precisely. They are still ultimately trading their time for money.
Yeah.
Even if it only takes 2 hours to make a video, they still have to sit there for those 2 hours.
Right.
If a freelance copywriter is using AI to write client blog posts 10 times faster, they still only get paid when they actively deliver a blog post. They have increased their capacity, but they haven't broken the ceiling.
So they basically built a highly efficient, incredibly fast hamster wheel. but they are still the hamster running inside it.
That's a great way to put it.
If they get sick or if they take a vacation, the production stops and the income stops.
It's a very well-equipped hamster, but yes, the earning potential remains linearly tied to their active working hours. To reach that $10,000 or $20,000 a month mark consistently, without working 100 hours a week, you eventually have to step off the wheel entirely.
Which brings us to the evolution. And this is where the sources transition from the foundation to the advanced methods, high leverage and scaling.
This is where it gets really interesting.
This is the leap from being a hyper-efficient freelancer to building AI SaaS, which stands for Software as a Service, creating digital products, and building full-fledged AI agencies.
This is the critical transition from labor to capital, even if that capital is purely digital lines of code.
Let's define some terms here, because I really don't want to get bogged down in jargon. We hear SaaS and API constantly in this space. If I'm a listener who isn't a software engineer, what are these people actually building?
Let's break it down simply. An API, or application programming interface, is essentially a digital waiter.
A waiter?
Yeah, imagine you are sitting at a restaurant table. The kitchen is the powerful AI model like ChatGPT or Claude run by a massive tech company. You, the customer, want something from the kitchen. The API is the waiter that takes your specific order, walks back to the kitchen, gets the food, and brings it back to your table.
Okay, so if I'm building an AI sauce, what am I doing with that waiter?
You are building a very specialized restaurant. Let's say you notice that real estate agents spend hours writing property descriptions.
Oh, they hate doing that.
Exactly. So you build a simple web page, a user interface. On that page, there are just 3 boxes: address, number of bedrooms, and vibe, like cozy or modern. The real estate agent fills out those 3 boxes and clicks generate.
And behind the scenes, your website takes those 3 boxes, packages them up, hands them to the API waiter, sends them to the big AI kitchen, gets the perfectly written description back, and shows it to the agent.
Exactly. You have built a wrapper around the AI. The AI does the heavy lifting, but you built the specific frictionless workflow for a specific customer, and you charge the real estate agent $20 a month for access to that incredibly easy workflow. That is a microsell.
But wait, why wouldn't the real estate agent just go straight to ChatGPT and type it in themselves for free? Why are they paying for this wrapper?
Because of friction and domain expertise. The average real estate agent doesn't know how to engineer a prompt to make the output sound professional and avoid sounding like a robot.
That makes sense.
They don't want to learn how to be a prompt engineer. They just want a property description. You are selling convenience, consistency, and a workflow tailored specifically to their daily pain points.
So you completely decouple your time from your income.
Entirely. When you are a freelancer writing property descriptions, you sell your solution one time to one client. When you build that SaaS tool, you build the software once. It can be sold to one real estate agent, or it can be sold to 100,000 real estate agents. And the effort required from you on a daily basis is exactly the same.
The cost of replication is 0.
Precisely.
That makes sense for software. But the sources also talk about solo AI agencies. Now, solo agencies aren't a new concept. We've had freelance PR consultants calling themselves agencies for decades.
Sure.
But what blows my mind here isn't the title. It's the sheer output volume. If a single person is acting as an agency for 50 different clients, managing all their marketing emails, social media, and data analytics using AI, how on earth do they manage the risk?
The risk is substantial.
If an AI hallucinates a fake statistic and blasts it out to a client's mailing list of 20,000 people, that solo agency is getting sued into oblivion.
It's a very real risk. And it's exactly why running a successful AI agency is not just about clicking generate. The people succeeding at this level are not letting the AI run wild. They are building highly constrained, heavily guarded workflows.
Guardrails.
Exactly. They aren't selling the raw, unpredictable AI. They are selling a packaged solution. For example, instead of an open-ended AI that just writes emails, they build a system that analyzes the client's past successful emails, generates 3 new variations, and then crucially inserts a mandatory human approval step before anything is sent.
Oh, so the client still has to approve it?
Yes. The client gets an automated dashboard where they just click approve. The agency owner has engineered the risk out of the system by controlling the environment the AI operates in.
So the client isn't buying AI. They're buying a guaranteed result like higher open rates, less time spent writing, and the agency owner is just using the AI as the invisible engine to deliver that result profitably at scale. You are the architect of the system, not a cog inside it.
But here, and we have to introduce a very large but here.
Here we go. I knew the breaks were coming.
It is essential we have a reality check right now because the sources dedicate a significant portion to the dangers of this space. If it were truly as easy as just building a wrapper and collecting $20 a month or spinning up an automated agency and watching the money roll in, everyone listening to this would already be a millionaire.
Right. There has to be a catch. It can't just be an infinite money glitz.
The failure rate is massive. This raises the most important question of this entire deep dive. What is the actual defensible value being created? The sources highlight 3 massive pitfalls that completely destroy these businesses.
What are they?
The first is relying entirely too much on AI without human oversight, which we just touched on with the hallucination risk. But the bigger ones are chasing fleeting trends and ultimately falling into what we must call the commodity trap.
Okay, let me pause you right there because I want to challenge this idea of chasing trends being inherently bad. Let me defend the cash grab for a second.
Okay, let's hear it.
Let's look at recent history. A couple of years ago, there was that massive trend with the Lensa app where everyone on the internet was paying to get cool AI-generated avatars of themselves. It was everywhere.
I remember.
It was clearly a fleeting trend. It lasted maybe 3 months. But if I, as an opportunistic developer, notice that trend early, and I spin up a quick website, connect an image generation API, market it hard on TikTok, and I make $50,000 or $100,000 in 3 months, isn't that a massive win?
It is a win, but
Even if the trend dies immediately after, I just got a massive infusion of capital that I can then use to build a real business later. Why is opportunism a bad thing?
it's an incredibly seductive argument, and I won't deny that some people do play that game and walk away with a pile of cash. But we have to look at the opportunity cost and the systemic reality of that approach. Yes, you might catch lightning in a bottle once, but you are playing a lottery, not building a skill set.
Capital is capital.
Is it? If you chase a trend, you are actively entering a race to the bottom because the very nature of that trend is that the barrier to entry is zero. If you can spin up that avatar website in an afternoon using off-the-shelf APIs, so can 10,000 other opportunists around the globe.
That's true.
And what happens when 10,000 people offer the exact same indistinguishable product?
Well, supply goes to infinity, so the price goes to zero. You end up undercutting each other until the profit margin is entirely gone.
Exactly. And more importantly, when the trend inevitably dies, what do you have left? You don't have a loyal customer base. You don't have a brand. You haven't solved a persistent human problem. You just rented a machine for a few weeks.
You're starting over.
You are back at square one, desperately searching for the next lottery ticket. That is the psychological trap of trend chasing. It prevents you from focusing on the real goal building, a moat.
A moat. Defensibility.
Yes. And this leads directly into the concept of the commodity trap. If an AI does 100% of the work, the output is, by definition, a commodity.
Like corn or oil.
Exactly. A commodity is something that is entirely interchangeable, like a barrel of oil or a bushel of wheat. Commodities are priced strictly on volume and extreme efficiency, never on premium value. The track happens when you offer a service that literally anyone else could replicate by typing the exact same prompt into ChatGPT.
So if I start an AI agency and my whole pitch to a local plumber is, I will use AI to write your blog posts, I have zero moat. I am a commodity.
Yep.
Because eventually that plumber will realize they can have their high school intern type write a plumbing blog post into ChatGPT for free, and my business vanishes overnight.
Precisely. You provided no unique value. High sustainable income is only generated when AI is used to enhance unique human insight, not replace it entirely. Real value creation comes from domain expertise.
It's the context.
Think of the AI as the incredibly powerful engine of a race car. The engine can generate 1,000 horsepower, but without a steering wheel, tires, and a skilled driver who knows the track, that engine is just going to slam into a wall.
That's a great image.
If you don't deeply understand the specific pain points of the industry you are serving, if you don't know the track, the engine is useless.
So it's about the synthesis. The human provides the context, the strategy, the empathy, and the taste. The AI provides the execution and the immense speed.
Yes. The most consistently successful people outlined in our sources are not the ones who found a secret magical prompt. They're the ones who identified a deep, persistent friction point in a specific boring industry, and they used AI to quietly build a highly efficient bridge over that friction.
Okay, this is a heavy reality check. We went from the exhilarating high of instant global reach, and zero startup costs, to the sobering reality of beware the commodity trap in the race, to zero.
It's a necessary grounding.
I can imagine the listener feeling a bit intimidated right now. So let's pivot and make this incredibly actionable. We need to walk through the beginner roadmap provided in the sources.
Let's do it.
If someone listening wants to actually start this transition today, how do they ensure they avoid that commodity trap from day one?
It comes down to a very deliberate step-by-step process. And the absolute first step, before you even open an AI tool, before you write a single prompt, is choosing your niche.
I love how the sources frame this. I like to think of it using a medical analogy. If you wake up with a weird, highly specific pain in your heart, you don't want to go to a general practitioner.
No, you definitely don't.
The general practitioner is fine for a cold, but for your heart, you want the top cardiologist in your state. You are willing to wait months and pay a massive premium for the specialist because they deeply understand your specific, complex problem. In that scenario, the general practitioner is the commodity, but the specialist is the premium asset.
That is a perfect structural analogy, and it applies directly one-to-one to the digital economy. If you put up a website advertising yourself as a general AI expert who can automate anything, you are the general practitioner.
And nobody cares.
Right. You will be competing with millions of other people globally saying the exact same thing. It is a race to the bottom. But if you position yourself as the AI workflow specialist specifically for boutique inventory management, suddenly your competition shrinks to almost zero.
So let's make this tangible. For the listener, let's do a hypothetical step-by-step mental exercise right now. Let's say you, the listener, currently work as a landscape architect. You design backyards, you know local plant species, you understand soil drainage. That is your day job.
Okay, solid domain expertise.
And you want to build an AI side hustle to eventually replace your income.
Yeah.
The worst thing you could do is try to launch a generic AI copywriting agency.
It would be disastrous. You have zero domain expertise in general copywriting. You don't know what makes a good sales email versus a bad one. You have no moat.
Right. So instead, you look at your own industry, the one you already know intimately. You know that local, independent plant nurseries struggle immensely with selling high-end trees and shrubs because customers cannot visualize how those plants will look in their own messy backyards.
That's a real friction point.
You know that traditionally, creating a 3D mock-up of a landscape takes days of work in complex software like AutoCAD. So you combine your existing deep knowledge landscape architecture with AI leverage.
Walk me through exactly how they would structure that service.
You build a highly specialized service for those local nurseries. Your pitch is simple. The nursery salesperson takes a simple smartphone photo of the customer's empty backyard while they are standing in the store. They email it to you. You use specialized AI image generation tools, perhaps utilizing image-to-image prompting, where you dictate exactly where the new oak tree and the hydrangea bushes should go, and you turn that simple photo into a stunning, photorealistic 3D mock-up of their dream yard.
Wow.
And because of the AI leverage, you deliver it back to the salesperson in 10 minutes while the customer is still browsing.
And that is brilliant. Let's dissect why that works. First, you aren't selling AI, you were selling a closed loop. You're selling increased close rates for the nursery through instant customer visualization.
Yes.
Second, you are using the AI as an assistant to solve a highly specific problem faster than anyone else could. And third, you have a massive moat. A random tech enthusiast in another country might know how to use the image generator, but they don't know the difference between a Japanese maple and a red oak, so their generations will look fake to the nursery owner. Your domain expertise is the steering wheel.
And that leads perfectly into the final step of the beginner roadmap, getting those crucial first clients. Because the psychology of client acquisition here is fascinating, and it's where most technical people fail.
It is the most vital part of the equation. Technologists fall in love with the tools, but clients, whether they are small nursery owners or massive corporate executives, do not care about the tools.
They really don't.
They do not care if you use ChatGPT or Claude or Midjourney or a custom Python script. They care exclusively about their own problems. They care about making money, or saving time.
The old sales adage. They pay for the hole, not the drill. They don't care how the drill works.
Exactly. So when you are acquiring those first clients, your pitch should almost never focus on the AI itself. If you walk into that local plant nursery, you don't say, "Hi, I am an AI prompt engineer and I utilize stable diffusion models to alter visual data."
Oh man, they would kick you out.
Their eyes will glaze over, or worse, they will feel intimidated and say no.
You say, I can help your customers visualize their new garden before they leave your store, which will increase your large ticket sales by 30%.
Yes. The AI is simply the invisible mechanism in the background that allows you to deliver on that massive promise profitably and efficiently. You sell the destination, you manage the vehicle.
Okay, this feels very tangible now. We've gone from the macro explosion of the global economy down to the micro steps of getting that very first client by combining domain expertise with AI leverage to solve a specific problem.
It's a solid foundation.
But as we look at the totality of these sources, we need to zoom out one last time and look at the long-term horizon. We are talking about the future outlook, 5 to 10 years ahead. Because the technology is moving so fast, will any of these specific strategies still work a decade from now?
It's the multi-million-dollar question. The landscape is accelerating. The specific tactics we discussed today, like generating a certain type of faceless video or building a simple API wrapper for real estate descriptions, might become entirely obsolete within months, let alone years.
Yeah, because the models will just absorb those functions.
The models will get smarter, they will natively adopt these features, and the temporary gaps will close entirely.
So what does this all mean for you, the listener, navigating this space? If the specific software tools are going to change and the micro niches are going to naturally evolve or get swallowed by larger models, what is the through line? What is the permanent skill?
If we connect this to the bigger historical picture, the successful individuals of the future are not going to be the ones who memorize the cleverest prompts for a specific version of a language model.
Prompt engineering is going away.
In 5 to 10 years, prompt engineering as a standalone manual skill will likely not exist. The AI will be ambient. It will be seamlessly integrated into the operating systems of our lives. It will understand intent without needing a perfectly structured paragraph of instructions. It will just know what you want to achieve.
Right, the AI will prompt itself, essentially. It will ask you clarifying questions instead of you having to guess how to talk to it.
Precisely. So the people who succeed, the ones who consistently generate high income and build lasting value, will be the highly adaptable problem solvers. They'll treat AI not as a magic wand and not as a static skill to be learned once, but as an ever-evolving utility belt.
It's exactly like electricity. When electricity was first introduced to factories in the late 19th century, the people who made the absolute most money weren't the ones who just stared at the light bulbs or learned how to wire a basic circuit.
Right. They were thinking bigger.
It was the visionaries who figured out how to redesign the entire assembly line. Before electricity, machines had to be grouped tightly around a single, massive central steam engine. Electricity meant you could put a motor on any machine, anywhere. The winners were the people who reimagined the workflow based on the new physics of the factory floor.
That is the perfect historical parallel. As the technical execution of daily tasks becomes entirely commoditized when writing flawless code, drafting airtight legal documents, and generating breathtaking art are all instantly available to literally everyone on Earth at zero cost, the ultimate currency is going to shift.
To what?
It won't be about technical production, it is going to be about critical thinking. It will be the ability to ask the right questions, identify the right problems, and orchestrate the solutions.
It's taste. It's curation and empathy. It's looking at the infinite sea of AI-generated possibilities and having the deeply human judgment to say, this one, out of these 1,000 options, this is the one that will resonate with human emotion. This is the one that actually solves the complex, messy human problem.
Yes. The nature of competition will fundamentally evolve. It will move from who can produce the most output to who can direct the systems the best. The future belongs to the strategists, the empathizers, and the coordinators, the people who understand human nature and use the machines to serve it.
Man, that is both incredibly daunting and profoundly inspiring. So let's bring it all back home. We have covered an immense amount of ground today. We started by looking at the raw explosion of the AI creator economy, the quiet revolution fueled by zero startup costs, incredible multiplication of leverage, and the sheer terror and excitement of global reach.
We explored the mechanics of how people are taking those first steps. We looked at upgrading traditional time-for-money freelance workflows and the intricate realities behind running efficient, algorithm-driven content channels.
And then we took the leap into the high-leverage world of digital capital, AI sauce and automated agencies, where you decouple your time from your income and build once to sell infinitely. But we made sure not to shy away from the reality check. We confronted the opportunism of trend chasing and the absolute danger of the commodity trap.
Because ultimately, sustainable income in this new era requires genuine, defensible value creation. It demands that you use AI as an engine to enhance your unique domain expertise, not as a mask to cover a lack of it. It's about being the specialist, not the generalist.
Which brings us to a final thought from the sources that I think perfectly encapsulates the crossroads we are all standing at today. The text poses a very direct, simple question to the reader, and I want to pose it directly to you. Would you try making money with AI?
Because it's no longer a question of if the opportunity is there. The plumbing is built, the leverage is real. The only remaining question is how you choose to engage with it.
Exactly. And I want to build on that with one final scenario for you to just mull over as you go about the rest of your day. If tomorrow morning an AI could perfectly, flawlessly replicate your current daily output, if it could write your emails, design your graphics, code your software, or balance your spreadsheets without a single error, what is the one uniquely human perspective, quirk, or relationship you possess that absolutely cannot be automated? Because that is where your future value lies.
It's been a fascinating exploration. Keep questioning, keep adapting.